This is James Cottrell speaking, and welcome to my video series on a variety of topics and subjects here on good old YouTube. We're talking today about tolerance. In this series, I'm adding a spiritual connotation to all the activities in life, sort of a connection between the high self and the low self, and how to improve ourselves in some way that we might be better spiritual beings here in the world while we're here. Today, tolerance is the subject. Have you ever had someone tell you something like, "I hope you're wrong," or they have said something other than complimentary things to you? They've criticized you, but they've been derogatory, and you've been trying your best, and you were looking perhaps for a little pat on the back. Well, when people speak in that way, they are not being spiritually correct. Prayer is a matter of simply thinking and thinking those thoughts about certain things and then saying words towards those things. Now, there are constructive prayers, and the ones that we always offer to the great beyond and hope that our prayer will be answered. And there are rules to ask in prayers, not to make conditions with God and not to promise something. I'll be good if the prayer is answered, or if I win a lot of money or I get a lot of money, I'll give half to charity. You can't make deals with God. You can only ask for assistance. And when you ask for assistance, you do everything in your power after you've committed this prayer to make that situation happen in your life that you've asked for divine guidance in your prayer to happen. Simple. Sometimes we expect magic or something out of the blue to happen to us, that the divine has intervened in our life. That too can happen. But the proper way is to pray for opportunities, people to bring you opportunities, and to realize when an opportunity is there and to take advantage of it. Don't be complacent and don't be vain. When something comes your way, consider it as answer to your prayer. You might think it's a coincidence or a chance that this has come into your life at the exact same time you were praying for it. Remember, it's better to pray for things that are tangible rather than conditions. I don't think it's really possible to pray for happiness because you can't really tell when happiness is there. But you can pray for things that will make you happy. I'd like to have a really good friend in my life that would make me happy. I'd like to be able to do some work or occupation that would make me really happy. And by that, you find your way that when you do have a partner or an occupation, or you've gone somewhere, that you're happy. It's because of that thing that happened to you, that experience that happened to you, that it made you happy. So happiness is a condition. And the prayer should always be about something tangible that appeals to the five physical senses. Now back to tolerance. So when someone says to you, when I make a predictions, for instance, and they say, "I certainly hope you're wrong," it's not that they're thinking that they're condemning me. They are aimlessly speaking, and they are giving a negative prayer or a negative thought energy. What does that mean? Well, when I make a prediction about something, I don't particularly care. I'm not attached to it. I hope that what I'm seeing in my intuitive prophetic vision is accurate, truthful, and correct. And then when I give this information to someone, it's to help them. Seeing world events and what's going to happen is basically something that's, let's say, an extension of this ability to see the future or to see things in a prophetic, intuitive way. The difference, by the way, in prediction and prophecy is that predictions happen more than likely, highly probable, where prophecy is assured, cannot be changed, whether it's in your life or in the way of the world. And if we believe in God Almighty, and if we believe we have a soul, then what I'm saying is important and makes sense. If you do not believe in God, or you do not believe that you have a soul, And to think the world is aimlessly rotating and moving forward in time, then a lot of the things I'm saying probably don't make sense to someone just like you. But again, keep an open mind and think about what I'm saying, because the world does have an order. There is a destiny for the world and for each of us. We all have our life paths, we all have our experiences, and we all are attempting to learn something while we're here. And that something can be contributed to simply your spiritual advancement. And whatever that is, it's an attempt to make you a better spiritual being while you're here in the world as a human being. And someday, somewhere, somehow, I guarantee you, you'll get it right. And when you do, you'll become a spiritual being in a physical body, and you will have obtained the highest human experience possible. Whatever that might be, I hope I get there sooner rather than later, but I know it takes time. And patience is one of those things that we in the intuitive business need to learn and practice a lot, because we always live or see in the future those things that are going to happen. The only trouble is we try to make them happen now, out of time. So when someone speaks to you in such a way and they say, I hope you're wrong, when you've perhaps had an intuitive dream, or you're making a prediction, or you have a feeling or a sense, a premonition or precognition that something is about to happen, and they say that, even those who are on the spiritual path, they are in fact attempting to give you a negative prayer. Really, to say something like that to someone, I hope you're wrong, well, think about it. It's not very complimentary, it's not very nice, and at the very least, it's just simply a shortness of thought. When one says something, whether it's right or wrong has yet to be proven, but just because you don't like it or believe it or even think it's remotely possible, doesn't mean that you should take immediately the point of judgment and say, I hope you're wrong, or that's wrong, or that can't be, or how dare you say such a thing. Well, of course, who are you to make such a judgment and to say such a thing? Those of us on the spiritual path who keep an open mind, when we hear things that sound a little ridiculous or a little offbeat, we don't judge that and then add our own criticisms to it or our thoughtless prayer. We're considerate. Say, well, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with me. We practice the simple law of gratitude, which means when someone does something very small to you or for you, you're as grateful as when someone does something very large or magnificent for you. It's the same. To be grateful is in part to be a better spiritual being, to make your life better every day, and to expect good things to happen to you. And they do. Being grateful is much better than being critical or intolerant. When we are intolerant of someone, we usually are short-tempered, we're impatient with these people, and we have a feeling that we know better. Well, I'm here to tell you, you never ever will know better. You might know more through your experiences and your understanding, but you will not know better for that person. Of course, you will know better for yourself. And then again, there's another trap. Everybody knows how someone else should be living their life, but they don't practice what they preach. So the way to spiritual enlightenment, one of the steps, one of the things to consider, is to be tolerant. And when someone says something to you that you don't particularly agree with, consider it as a possibility, or perhaps if it's completely an error based on their inexperience or their misinterpretation of their impression or their intuition or their prophetic dream, be tolerant and encourage them. Never criticize, always encourage, because they just might be right and you might be wrong. Think about that. This is Douglas James Cottrell speaking. I'm talking today on the subject of tolerance. And when you are tolerant to someone, you're being benevolent and compassionate to them. Whatever they happen to say, whatever they happen to do, if it doesn't quite fit in with your truth, then simply be tolerant of it. Be glad that you met that person, for we all have truths. We all have our experiences in life. And you never quite know. That person comes up and says something completely ridiculous, completely off the wall, might just be correct. Many inventions that we use today, when first heard or disclosed to people, were thought to be impossible, and they were ridiculous, and people were intolerant of them. Yet many of them are here today. Velcro was one of those. The telephone, airplanes, and even computers, when first come out. Who would want to use a home computer? Well, ask the guys at Apple and Bill Gates. They had it right. In any event, my friends, check my website out, douglasjamescottrell.com. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and give me that proverbial thumbs up at the bottom of this video if you like what I have to say today. It's my pleasure and privilege to be here to talk to you today, and I hope what I've said sheds some small light in your life to help you get from here to there. Again, it's douglasjamescottrell.com. Take care. God bless.